Morning.
Morning.
What you got then?
Well, there's egg and bacon, egg, sausage and bacon, egg and spam, egg, bacon and spam, egg, bacon, sausage and spam.
I don't know where it came from.
Again, was that you and Terry?
Yes, yeah. I just thought that spam was a funny word.
Mm.
A bit like a man coming into someone's flat with a goat. There's something funny about spam.
Yeah.
Because we used to get served it quite a lot at school. I mean, it was on lots of menus. Mm. This wretched thing, spam, you know, it wasn't quite ham, it wasn't quite spuds, it was something in between, and it wasn't eggs and it wasn't bacon. You associated with sort of greasy spoon cafes up and down the country. Mm. So spam was nothing particularly out of the ordinary, except it just had a nice word to it. And then the idea that it's on every menu, so let's just take that a little bit further, and so that every dish has spam in it, and some dishes have more than one. You'd have spam and chips, that's funny. Spam and eggs, well, that's really funny. Spam and the next one, spam and fried bread, that's like the one. And then one or other of us must have gone on with the line of, well, why don't we have spam and fried bread? That was very funny. And then, you know, the idea that the people in the restaurant were sort of Vikings. I don't know, it was just images which came into one's head, and normally you would just bury them, you know, and go on with being whatever you have to do in life. Fetch the child from school, or fill in an insurance form, or catch the underground. But it was so great. The thing about Python was one could have this, let your imagination sort of spill over into your work.
Spam, spam, bacon and spam. Spam, 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 egg and spam. Spam, 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 bacon, spam, spam, spam.
Hello, I wish to register a complaint.
Parrot sketch, yes.
Now,
yeah. What I do know is that when we were doing How to Irritate People, I described the problems I was having taking my car back to the garage, and I did a little quick sketch of the man who looked it over and would always say, yeah, well, and any problems, bring it in. Well, I brought it in. Yeah, all right, well, you know, anything would be just, oh, well, the brakes are fair. Well, they're new, they're not being adjusted. So we have an answer for everything. And John loved this character.
He was one of these people you could never get to take a complaint seriously. Yeah. And Michael and I chatted about this, and I then went off and wrote a sketch with Graham about a man returning a second-hand car. Mm. And that was early '68, so when we started to write over a year later for Python, more like 18 months later, I remember saying, I don't know why we looked at the sketch again, but I remember saying, this has got something funny in it, but the car is, Graham and I don't know who came up with it, Graham and I agreed the car was much too hackneyed, a second-hand car. Yeah. And within a moment, we were in a pet shop.
That's interesting.
And we said, which is funnier? Could it be a dog or a parrot?
My favourite line of all of the dead parrot sketch was the one at the beginning. And he said, hello, miss. And I said, what do you mean, miss? He said, sorry, I have a cold. I mean, that's just a wonderful little 3 little lines there.
Yeah.
Hello, miss.
What do you mean, miss?
Oh, I'm sorry, I have a cold.
The books.
The second book, Monty Python's brand new Bach, we had this double idea. One was a dust jacket, which was dirty already. It was pre-dirtied, had these fingerprints on it, which is such a wonderful idea. For me, that was my favourite conceptual idea for confusing the public, because they were so wonderful. These sort of fingerprints looked so good, dirty fingerprints, on a white cover. Who wants that? And then, as you know, inside, once you took the cover off, there was just this sort of sea of bottoms and tits, and it was this cover that read Tits and Bums, a weekly look at church architecture. And it was a very sort of naughty, full of spotty bottoms. And the most wonderful story about that was that Geoffrey Strawn, the editor at Methuen, being rung up by a lady bookseller in Newbury, somewhere in the home counties, saying that she'd had someone had come in to buy this book called Monty Python something or other. She didn't really know what it was all about. A young person. And all the books that she had, and she had 6 copies, all had dirty fingerprints all over the cover. So Geoffrey said, those are intentional. And she said, no, I don't think you realise that they're just dirty, grubby marks. And he said, well, they were put there deliberately by the designers, and she just couldn't take this on board. I said, no, I don't think you understand. It's not what the designers have put there. It's whoever's handled these books and brought them into the shop has got mud all over them. And Geoffrey said, well, please, that is the way the books are. Just sell them the book that way. And she said, well, I'm not going to. It's bad for me. It's bad for my shop. I'm going to take the dust covers off and sell them without the dust covers. At which point Geoffrey put the phone down and just leaned back and imagined the scene in the bookshop in Newbury.
I like that.
It's a great story. It's a brilliant story. It's wonderful.
The monetary rewards.
No, because we didn't start making any real money until the Holy Grail became a success in America. Because up to that time, and the figures are quite interesting, we were earning astonishingly little. I remember a friend of mine called Tony Hendra visiting me in London and watching one of the early first series of Monty Python and laughing a great deal. And afterwards, when we started talking about what we were paid for it, I told him, and he laughed even more than he'd done at the show and fell off the sofa. Well, a few times I've seen someone literally, and that was when I told him that I was getting £240 a show.
Yeah.
So although we were young, and it was a long time ago, it was still by American standards hilariously small.